Hi everyone, my name is Christian Ross, and I've entitled this channel, brand new channel, called Immortal Ones. And if you believe in Jesus Christ and you have faith in Him as your Lord and personal Savior, then you are immortal. You are a part of this family of fellow immortal ones, and I'm glad that you're here and join me today. This is going to be a little bit of my testimony. It's kind of in depth. It's a long testimony, but I will keep it as brief as I can, only because through the path of me being a Satanist and into witchcraft and transferring into being a Christian now, a lot happened in between that time, and certain videos I'm going to make in the future about those things, certain like entities, certain things of the evil dark side of nature that people might not know, and not to glorify it or not to strike fear, just to so that believers be aware of some of these things. But today I think it's good to make an introduction and basically tell you why I became a Christian. So when I was 10 years old, I moved to Prince Edward Island with my mom and my sister. My parents separated at that time. Before that, we were in Toronto. I don't really remember too much of that life, but when we moved to Prince Edward Island, I was kind of the city kid, the new kid on the block, and people always tried to bully me. It was not a fun time growing up here, but when I was about 12, maybe probably 13, 14, I remember vividly 14, getting into witchcraft at that age. It was more of Wiccan stuff, and if you're as old as I am, you would remember during that time the internet wasn't as vast as it is now. If you want to know something, you'd probably go to an encyclopedia to look it up, if you even know what that is, depending on your age watching this video. And the internet at the time was like, our Google was Ask Jeeves. AOL.com was everybody's email at that time. You had Napster was where everybody got their music illegally. Around that time, so just think around that time is when I really got into it, but right before that, like 13, 14-ish, is when I kind of was already tired of life. As odd as it sounds, I didn't understand that this life was just eating, drinking, going to work, going to school, and then after you go to school, like basically what is life? Like what is this? I know people, I've learned as much as I could at this young age. Pretty prideful, pretty rebellious at that age, but who isn't really? And I started just trying to find anything I could out about the spiritual life, because the physical bored me. It bored me to death. I didn't have any hopes and dreams. I didn't really think about my future and what I was gonna do. Oh, I want to be this or that. I was just completely bored, out of my mind. And especially being in Prince Edward Island, living out in the middle of nowheres, I mean, yeah, of course it's gonna be daunting and boring. And so basically my life was just smoking weed early, getting into drugs early, but most of it was focused on what is life. There's got to be something other than this, and that was my pursuit of finding knowledge that way. So the only information on it was on the internet at that time. I remember ordering books at the library but the only ones were like very soft Wiccan stuff, like which herbs to use to make a spell to make you feel better, things like that. It wasn't too deep. And this is where I started gathering all my knowledge on the occult, and then molding into witchcraft, which is a part of Wiccan, but it's not. It's like a graduation step, I guess you could say. Some Wiccans claim that they're white and that they're good, and some Wiccans claim they use dark energy. I could get into that, but let's just ignore it because it's hogwash. Well, not really. It's hard to explain, but so I was really into witchcraft at that time, making my own like love spells, curse spells, money spells, things like that. Just the beginner stuff, and some things would work, some things would not work. So I just took my time to figure out which things would work. Like, is it better to rhyme the spell or say it as it is? Is it would it work better if I enunciated certain words more with more meaning and more power to them? And I quickly stepped into a world where I was finding certain things working and certain things not working, and the things that didn't work I threw out, and I just kept writing my own kind of book of knowledge, I guess. And fast forward to maybe 16, 17, that's when I started to get into Satanism, witchcraft, and the spell game was okay for me, but I wanted more than that. I wanted to see things. I wanted to make sure that this was the right thing. That quickly I found out when I became a Satanist for many years, and after seeing things happen, I knew it was real. So the thing I was missing, though, was I thought that was the only thing that was real. Like, my pursuit out of the physical into the spiritual, that I found the secret. And I worked so hard over many years figuring out what works and what doesn't work, what certain times the moon comes out, do such and so on a solstice day or a waxing moon day. All these things, like, I thought I'd figured out. And then, like I said, witchcraft was kind of a graduation to Wiccan. Well, Satanism was kind of a graduation from witchcraft. I'm not sure if that's how it works, but spiritually, that's how I saw it. And looking back at it, yeah, you get deeper and deeper into it. So I was using Ouija boards on a daily, like talking to spirits, conversing with them. They would tell me things that I later found out were true, and a lot of things that weren't true. They like to lie to you, which I know now is basically they were demons, and that's all they do is lie. Unless they're trying to sneak you into believing them, then they'll feed you a truth once in a while. But it's a lot of manipulation and a lot of ego. Sorry, there's so many things going on in my mind right now. Validation, I guess. They always want to let you know that, oh, you're special and you've been chosen by us and you have the power, and so on and so forth. It's a very prideful, egotistical way of communicating with you. And just after a lot of spiritual encounters, seeing things, I was just a full-blown Satanist at that time. I was a solitary Satanist. I wasn't in a coven or anything like that. Like, witches gather in covens. Some Satanists do the same thing. They all get together in a big group. At the same time, the reason why I'm hesitating and trying and struggling with words is because I don't want to reveal things that they do, but yet getting my point across at the same time. If you can understand that, I'm sure you could. It's a lot to deal with. So basically, that was my life. It wasn't great. I was homeless for 2 years in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I was still Satanist at this time, but I wasn't avidly practicing it like I did before. Before I moved to Halifax, when I was a teenager back on the island, I would do what Christians do now, witness to people, but on the other side. I would witness to people as a Satanist, trying to get them into Satanism. And when I moved to Halifax, my life was getting very bad, and I just stopped caring about that. And I stopped doing as much Ouija board stuff, stopped doing spells, and just basically became complacent in the religion, if you want to call it that. But at the same time, just focused on my life in the here and now. That was more important than any metaphysics or any spiritual pursuit that I had at that time. And also, I gotta say that there's a certain point in Satanism. Excuse me, just a second. Sorry, so there's a certain point in Satanism that I got to where I wouldn't cross that line. And I wasn't comfortable with it. I'm not going to mention to you what it is now. I will probably in later episodes. It's just a little heavy for just a testimony video right now. But there's a certain line I wouldn't cross, and it was pretty gross and repulsive to me. So I kind of stopped there. I was just kind of like on pause mode. And I stopped, like I said, preaching to people. I stopped doing spells. And I think this is why the devil became so angry at me, that darkness was angry at me, because I now know that, looking back, he just wants to use you while you destroy yourself and destroy other people's lives as well. That's all it is. He tries to rob your faith of God, and he tries to destroy you. He'll make it look good. He'll make it look like you're doing good, you're doing well. You may have lots of money and this and that, but his end goal is to kill you quickly. Well, it's first to make sure you don't have faith in God. Make sure he could use you to destroy and plant evil seeds in everybody's life that you possibly could at that time, and then kill you quickly before you get the chance to find Jesus. And I'm glad I know that now. At the time, I didn't know that. And so because I became so complacent in my Satanism and my works for the devil, this is kind of where the testimony comes in. So I moved from Halifax, Nova Scotia, to Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. And me and my buddy, we hitchhiked actually from Halifax to Saskatchewan. And Mike was his name. And we got an apartment there. We started doing drugs. We started doing hard drugs like cocaine and acid and all sorts of things. We got caught up in just living a life of pleasure, basically, doing what we wanted with however many girls we could at the time. And I wasn't focused on the spiritual. It was more of a carnal, fleshly lifestyle at that point. And we met these two people. I'm only going to mention their names because it's easier for me to refer to them in the story of what happened. There was a girl named Jermaine and a man named Lloyd. I did tell this testimony before online. If you have heard this, it was on a friend of mine, his channel, Rob. He is not with us anymore. He passed, sadly. I think his channel was Transfiguration Day channel. He put it up, and it had 8,000 views. And when he passed, it went away. And since I'm starting up again, I think that I should start with my testimony because it's not out there anymore. But if you have heard this, well, you'll recognize it, I guess. So Lloyd and Jermaine, we started going over there, living with them, and then living back at our apartment. Our home base was our own apartment, and they were kind of a little weird, probably due to copious amounts of crystal meth that they were smoking at the time. And they had a lot of Bibles and religious texts, which I found strange because they weren't religious at all, but just playing with them because I was on drugs myself, not that at that time, but weed and alcohol, and I was just bored, and I would do stupid things when I got bored because it was entertaining to me. And over the course of, like, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks, I convinced her that she might be Mary Magdalene reincarnated and that Lloyd might be Jesus reincarnated. I mean, it was just just feeding them tips here and there, just as a joke. I don't know why it was a joke. It wasn't really funny. I have no idea why I was trying to do that to make them think that they were these people. It just happened that way, and I mean, surprise, surprise, they actually believed it. They started talking like they were those people, and it was getting really weird. So I moved out. Well, I wasn't actually living with them, but I stopped hanging out with them, I should say, because we would have our home base, but then we'd go there for the day, come back. We'd go there the next day, come back. We'd go there the next day, come back. And I stopped going there. I stopped going there. Mike stopped going there before me, but then when I realized the severity of their delusion, I stopped going there too, because it was just whacked. And I'm not going to talk about them. It's just a part of the story is what separated us. So, and I think that's why they got so angry, because we stopped hanging out with them, but just something in their head was off. It was 3 days before June 666. So it was June 3rd, 2006. That's why I remember, is because June is the 6th month, the 6th day, and it was 2006, so everyone was saying how it was going to be 666 soon. So it was probably about 5-6 a.m. The morning of June 3rd, 2006, and I hear a buzzer. We're in our apartment, our home base now, and Mike's sleeping in the back bedroom. There's a girl named Megan Gabriel who smoked with us sometimes, and her friend, I'm not really sure who that was, but he was there that day. Excuse me. And I just hear buzz. I answer it, and I hear a voice that says, "Hey, it's Lloyd and Jermaine. Can we come up for a couple smokes?" And I looked at Megan, because out of the corner of my eye, she's like doing like this, and she's like, no. And I was like, what? It's just Lloyd and Jermaine. What's the big deal? So I buzz them in. I unlock the door. I go around the corner. I sit down and I start eating my ice cream again. And when they come in, I see Jermaine, and she's got a crowbar in her hand. It's down by her side like this, and she's like speed walking to Mike's bedroom. Like, they've never been in our place before. I don't know how she knows where he is. I have no idea to this day. And she just walks right back to his bedroom. Maybe she thought that she was going to me or not, because I was behind the corner with the ice cream anyways. I'm just thinking, like, how would she know? And so Lloyd goes right in front of me, and he, out of his shorts, he pulls this huge monkey wrench like this long, and he hauls back and it just cracks me right in the temple. And like when I was 16, I was a boxer, so I knew when you're about to get knocked out. Um, Especially if you get hit in the temple, like you start seeing these like dots, like it's all like fuzzy, and like your vision starts to get blurry, and that's pretty much an indicator of you're gonna get knocked out here soon. Unless you get hit in the chin, then you just don't know. Then it's just instant lights out. But I knew, like, I'm in trouble. I got to do something. So at that point, I was kind of in shock. I was like, what's, like, I didn't have time to react. I was just kind of, I'm almost knocked out. What's going on? It's almost like things are going in slow motion. And then, so Lloyd goes around my neck while I was like kind of dazed, and he puts it under my neck and he hauls back like that to try and like break my neck. So I knew what he was doing. So I grabbed the wrench and I jumped when he pulled up back. And then when he put me down to do it again, I jumped up again. And then I see, at this time, I see Jermaine, she's like running towards me. And I'm like, what? She punches me in the family jewels. She grabs onto them, like with her hand. And then she puts one leg on my thigh and her other leg on like the shin of my other leg. So she's like gonna try and like rip my jewels off, is I guess what she was trying to do. But if you can tell, I'm pretty screwed at this point. Like, he's got this around my neck, she's got, and that's when I said in my head, I was like, if there's any God at all, anywhere, I need your help, because I'm about to die right now. And that's when, like, I can't really describe it. It's just, like, I didn't even think about it. Like, even hitting a woman was foreign to me. Like, I would never do that. So just, like, it's confusing to me. Like, did God use my hand? Did he do that? Or did he, like, I don't know. But anyways, all I know is my hand flew forward, like open palm, and hit her right here in the nose. And her head flew back, and it hit the back of the stove. She was right by the stove, and she wears glasses, so her glasses flew off. So she's blind as a bat without her glasses. I already know that. And she's looking for her glasses, and Lloyd's so mad that I hit his girlfriend that he lets go of my throat, and he goes to hit me again. And like, during watching her go down there and focusing back on him, like, everything is orange. It's all orange. It's not like every time I revert back to these memories, it's all orange. Everything is done in orange. Excuse me. I remember at that time too, it being odd that why is everything orange, but I didn't really care because I was fighting for my life at this time. And when he went to swing back to hit me again, I always remembered something from Tito Ortiz, who was a UFC fighter back in the day. And he said, if anybody's ever going to hit you, put the hand on the back of your neck and go like that. And just turn like that. And that's what I remember. So I just went like that, and he hit me right there. And the reason why that is significant, why I mention it, is because in the court reports, they took pictures of my arm, and from my elbow to my shoulder, it was all black and blue. Like, that's how hard he hit my arm. Like, I'm amazed it didn't break. But if he would have got me in the temple, I probably would have been toast. But when he did that, so you go to hit, I block it, so he goes back to hit me again. And when he's going back to hit me again, that's when I just left hooked, and I can see him, he's going like this, up against the wall, and then I just 1, 2, 1, 2, the whole, like, probably 10 times. And then he just got knocked out, fell to the floor. And for a split second, I always thank God that I didn't do this. It was definitely him. For a split second, I thought about picking up the wrench and just, like, bashing his head. Like, I felt like killing him at that point. And I'm glad I didn't, for obvious reasons. But it's almost like my brain wanted to do that, but I couldn't also at the same time. And I just started running. And I went to the door, and Jermaine, she's standing there with the crowbar right at the door. So, like, I go to open the door, and I specifically remember when they came in, they locked the door behind them. That's what kind of alerted me. It was like, that's strange. And then I saw her walking with the crowbar. So that's another memory I have now. But she was standing there, and then right when I got to the door, she went to swing it. And then Megan Gabriel, I mentioned her last name only because it's funny. Her name is Gabriel. Her last name is Gabriel. Sorry if she's out there and she sees this. I haven't talked to her since, and this was many years ago. But she caught Jermaine's hand and was like, so I'm like, whew. And then I hear a big bang behind me, and I went out the door. Apparently that bang was when Lloyd got up. He tried to hit me as I was running away, and he just missed and hit the wall. So, like, there's so many close calls during the seconds of what happened, like the seconds. And so I ran downstairs. I ran across the street to someone's house. I knocked on the door, like, yelling, screaming. I remember this guy, he came outside, and he was, like, in his boxers, and his wife was there in her house coat, and he's like, what's going on? I'm like, call the police. Somebody broke into my apartment and tried to kill me. So we call the police. Then I'm trying to use the phone to call the apartment because I'm trying to see if they're okay or what's going on, and they're not answering. So he's like, that's weird. And I'm like, yeah. And this guy, he was a bad dude, I think, because brave, I'll give him that. But he's like, come here. And we went to a shed, and he grabs this, like, huge hoe and this other big large stick, and he's like, let's go. And this guy he really wanted to fight these people that broke him. He doesn't know me. He doesn't know if what I'm telling him is the truth. But anyways, we're buzzing, no answer. And he looks at me, he's like, I don't like this. And I'm like, yeah, me neither. And so we went back to his place. We waited for the cops. So Mike and his dad Steve, they showed up. Apparently they were driving around looking for me, and they showed up before the cops did. So I'm like, that's my buddy. I'm just gonna go back. Thanks, man. He's like, yeah, take care. So went back to the apartment. Apparently they took off. Cops showed up, and yeah, that was pretty intense. But that's also the same day that I gave my life to Jesus. Because when I said, if there's a God at all, if there's any God at all, help me now because I'm gonna die. That's when, everything turned orange. It didn't right away. The hand thing first happened. I'm like, what? And then everything started to go orange, which is still strange to me, even as a Christian. I don't know why. But it happened. So basically, after that, Mike told me later that Jermaine went into his room and waved the wrench in his face and said, if it wasn't for your dad, you'd be dead too. And what else happened? Okay, so when we were waiting for the police show up. We're in not our apartment, but the one below it. So that's Mike's dad, Steve's house. And Lloyd and Jermaine called Steve's house, and they were talking to him, and the cops said, put him on speakerphone. So they put him on speaker, and they're like talking about how I'm the devil and how they're there to kill me, and it was because okay, might as well show you. I'll show you the arms. I'm gonna take my shirt off, but I have 666. Like I said, I was a Satanist. Like I was full-fledged Satanist. I have another one on my stomach, which I'm not going to show you. But I have 666 tattooed on me, and I guess that went to their head. Being on crystal meth and probably possessed. They said that they were here to kill the Antichrist before 666, June 6, 2006, which is insane. Like, absolutely crazy. But, I mean, a lot of it was my fault. I played games with them. I played mind games with them, But, whatever. So, after all that, I'm like, okay, well, I guess there's a God because he saved me, because I wouldn't have thought to do any of those things. It just happened. And I didn't even really know that, like, which God it was, but for some reason I just dropped to my knees and I said, please forgive me, Jesus, of all my sins. Thank you for saving me, and I owe my life to you. And yeah, that was basically it. It was a crazy moment where I say that I was saved supernaturally. Like, I wasn't saved in a normal way. It wasn't like somebody preached the gospel to me like 10 times, and on the 10th time I finally was like, yeah, I'm gonna try this out. No, this is like... But I think at the same time, this is how God would have to get to me, because I was very stubborn and I believed in the supernatural. Up to this point, I've seen so many things on the side of evil that I already knew that that part existed, but I didn't know that there was a good side that existed also. And so, that excited me. I mean, what I thought I knew was it, and then I got not really bored of it, but it wasn't working really for me. I wasn't, getting everything I could, and then I just stopped doing it because I had to focus on my life. And then I got involved in deeper stuff, and now I'm in a worldly bad situation. All that stuff led up to this, and anyways, after becoming Christian, I joined Bible college. I went to church. I joined Bible college right away, signed up for that September. Like, this is June this has happened, so I signed up for it. And, like, the first week, like, stuff happened that I'll say in a different video. Once you get used to my life stories, I guess I'm not really sure, like, the reason why sometimes I hesitate on saying certain things is I don't want to bring discredit to the Lord. I don't want to bring, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to have people not believe in what I'm saying, because it's all true. It's just some things that happen in my life it's not naturally that which happens in a normal Christian's life or somebody becoming a Christian. Mind you, I've seen a lot of things spiritually, like demons and stuff and possessions, and that side of thing was normal to me. I knew that was part of this existence. And I think it was easier for that to be allowed in my life. That's why I hesitate on saying it sometimes, because if you've never seen that, if you've never been through any of occultish things or seen really scary things that are real, it's really hard to believe those things at first glance, just because a guy on the internet told you. You'd have to live it or see it yourself. I get that. Except when it comes to the Lord, obviously. We don't, he helps us on our walk when we give him faith. That's why I wear this this cross. It's, sorry, I'm trying to read it. I think it says Matthew 17:20. I don't know why I didn't memorize that. But it was the parable of the mustard seed. See, there's a mustard seed in there. It's there. And that's like, You know, you could have faith as small as a mustard seed, and basically even a little bit of faith will send away flights of demons, because the Lord is all powerful. And that's another thing about talking about like Satanism and all that stuff. It doesn't frighten me. The devil doesn't frighten me anymore, because I know God is the truth. I know Jesus is the Lord. I know he's way more powerful than the evil side of things. Yeah, does evil exist and real physical manifestations happen? Yes, I've seen them. I deal with them sometimes, even as a Christian. But you gotta understand that those demons and those things and the devil himself are afraid of God. They're afraid of him. Like, there's one scripture that says, I'm paraphrasing, I think, but it's even the demons believe in him and shudder at his name, because they're extremely afraid. He's in control of it all. Like, the devil is the god of this world. He schemes, but he can only do what God allows him to do, because God is the true power. And I'm just happy to be on that side of things. I have a whole bunch more to share with you, but I just wanted to let that out and share my testimony. I think I might share things that happened like the very next day. I think I'll do that another time. Maybe I'll call it testimony part 2 or 2.0 or something, so you will know. But I think we should maybe start off with a few videos of maybe not so intense things right away. I'm not sure. I'm just going to go by the Spirit of the Lord and whatever he wants to talk about, because this isn't for me. This is for you, and I do this for the Lord. And if he can reach anybody in this way, then I'm glad to do it. I mean, I've come to know that this earth is, and this experience is kind of like a training ground for the life that is yet to come. When you become a believer in Jesus, you have eternal life. Like, you are immortal. And while we're here, it's a chance to win souls. And it may sound like a vague or simple thing, but it's winning a soul for the Lord. I mean, you really don't do anything yourself, but the Lord who works through you. But if you can do anything, you can just be a willing vessel for him, and he will work through you, and you will get rewarded after in heaven, says. So that's cool. But we don't do it for rewards, and we don't do it for our own ego or pride or to boast of it. We just tell our truth, and we go wherever the Lord tells us to go and talk to whoever he tells us to talk to. And I might say I'm not going to do this video or that video right away, and he might give me a smack and say, you're doing this. So who knows? I mean, he doesn't smack me, but he might impress upon my spirit that I should be doing this certain type of video. I guess perhaps I should have said that. And so yeah, I'm happy to meet you, and I hope we can have fun in the future of this channel. And God bless you all, and I love you all. Okay, take care.